Jay Leno, a towering figure in American late-night television, is more than just a name. For over 2 decades, he defined late-night comedy as the legendary host of The Tonight Show. His face became synonymous with the laughter of millions, his monologues the heartbeat of an entire nation. The sharp wit that flowed effortlessly from him, paired with a warmth as familiar as the evening sun, turned ordinary nights into unforgettable moments for generations of viewers. From the outside, his rise from the confines of poverty to the pinnacle of television stardom seemed like a dream. But behind that success, a relentless journey of hardship and personal loss forged the man we all came to admire. Born on April 28, 1950 in New Rochelle, New York, Jay Leno was raised in a modest working-class family where sacrifice was a way of life. His father, Angelo, was an insurance salesman whose long, grueling hours left him little time to be the nurturing presence Jay and his older brother Patrick needed. Still, Angelo's quiet resilience was a model of discipline that Jay carried with him throughout his life. His mother, Catherine, a Scottish immigrant, brought a gentler warmth to their home, filling their lives with a quiet, steadfast love that softened the harsh edges of their world. Jay's childhood was far from easy. It was defined by the struggle to rise above the weight of poverty and, more painful still, the stinging isolation of being labeled as different. At school, Jay found himself struggling with a learning disability that went undiagnosed for years. Dyslexia, a term not widely understood at the time, turned each school day into an emotional battlefield. The letters and words on the page twisted and danced in ways that made reading feel impossible. He wasn't just falling behind. He was trapped in a system that didn't understand his struggle. Teachers looked at him with frustration, not realizing the silent battle he was fighting against words that refused to cooperate. Then came the moment that would carve a deep scar into his soul. A school counselor, dismissing the possibility of Jay's success, told his mother that education isn't for everybody. It was a verdict that could have crushed him. At a time when every child should be told they have a future, Jay was told that he didn't belong. That moment became a wound he carried for years, reminding him of a world that didn't see his potential. Despite the humiliation and shame, Jay found an escape in humor. He didn't crack jokes to make people laugh at first. He cracked jokes to disappear. It wasn't about being clever, it was about survival. Comedy became his shield, his armor against the world that had already written him off. He used laughter not to rise above others, but to hide his pain, to protect himself from the cruel world that seemed to refuse him a chance. His mother nurtured this burgeoning gift, sensing the quiet storm of pain he was weathering. His father, though silent, instilled in him the unshakable belief that effort could overcome any obstacle. From these early lessons, Jay developed a resolve no one could have predicted. As Jay entered adulthood, the weight of his past never fully left him. Life's challenges seemed to multiply. At 18, Jay left Andover High School with little more than a fragile dream and the lingering sting of those years spent being misunderstood. He moved to Emerson College in Boston to study speech therapy, a sensible career path for most, but not for Jay. The real drive in his heart was always comedy. Comedy wasn't just a dream, it was his calling, a deep instinct that kept him afloat during the hardest of times. The late 1960s were unforgiving for Jay. He worked a series of grueling, soul-sucking jobs just to survive. He delivered pizzas, hauled engine parts, scrubbed car dealership floors, each job as exhausting as the last. The pay was meager and it never stretched far enough. Many nights he found himself sleeping in his car, too broke to afford rent, too tired to care. But even in the freezing cold, Jay refused to give up. His dream was all he had, and it became the one thing he could hold on to when everything else seemed beyond his reach. By 1973, Jay had opened his own small comedy club, a tiny venue with mismatched chairs and a stage that barely held a microphone. It wasn't glamorous, it was his rebellion against the life the world had set out for him. But even then, the road was never smooth. The audience was often sparse. Some nights, the silence after a joke felt heavier than any insult. Club owners shrugged him off, dismissing him as ordinary. He wasn't the bright, shining star they were looking for, yet every failure only fueled his determination. Every door slammed in his face only made him knock harder. In 1977, Jay's persistence paid off when he appeared on The Tonight Show stage for the first time. The pressure was overwhelming. Johnny Carson, the legendary host, was watching. The lights were bright, the audience unforgiving. But when Jay spoke, the room softened. Carson's eyes warmed, the audience laughed, and a new chapter in Jay's life began. From that moment, Jay's rise was a journey of grit and determination. He wasn't handed opportunities, he earned them. Every night, he worked relentlessly to be better, to deliver the kind of comedy that would keep people laughing no matter how hard their day had been. By 1986, Jay became the permanent guest host of The Tonight Show, a role that brought him to the cusp of greatness. The pressure, however, was constant. Every night, Jay walked onto that stage knowing that one wrong move could ruin everything, yet he thrived. He became a fixture in millions of homes, a trusted voice that comforted America during times of uncertainty. In 1992, when Jay became the full-time host of The Tonight Show, it felt like the culmination of everything he had worked for. But the journey was far from easy. As Jay built his legacy, fame and fortune never dulled his work ethic. His routine was built on precision. He arrived at 9 a.m. every day, combed through newspapers, rewrote his jokes until they were perfect. Even after the show ended, he would drive across Los Angeles to perform stand-up for small crowds. His commitment to his craft was unparalleled. The late-night world knew him as a man who never canceled, never faltered, and gave every bit of himself to the audience. Behind the laughter, though, the burden of his fame was heavy. In 2014, Jay said goodbye to The Tonight Show for the final time. The applause was different from any he had ever received. Raw, emotional, and filled with a sense of finality. As he stood alone on the stage for the last time, Jay's tears were not those of a man who had achieved greatness. They were the tears of a man who had given everything to a job that had both lifted and burdened him. He had spent 22 years lifting others' spirits, yet he stood there, broken by the weight of his own journey. Even after leaving The Tonight Show, Jay's battle with the physical toll of his career was far from over. In 2009, exhaustion took its toll, and Jay collapsed from a combination of physical and emotional strain. The years of relentless work, of standing on stage night after night, took their toll. The doctor's words, exhaustion, barely scratched the surface of what Jay had been enduring. But Jay wasn't someone to give up. He recovered and returned, but the burden of his years was always there, quietly simmering beneath the surface. Then, in November 2022, Jay was burned in a freak accident while working in his garage. The fire that erupted left him with severe burns across his face, neck, and hands. Yet, just 9 days later, Jay returned to the stage, a living testament to the strength of the human spirit. His body trembled, his skin still healing, but he smiled through the pain, reminding the world why he had earned their love and respect. Despite the battles he had fought, Jay's greatest struggle would come in 2023, when he suffered a series of devastating accidents. A motorcycle crash left him with broken bones, shattered ribs, and knees that would never be the same. Yet, even as his body screamed for rest, Jay refused to stop. He returned to performing, walking with a determination that echoed the same spirit that had carried him through his childhood struggles. Amidst the pain and exhaustion, Jay found solace in his love for Mavis, the woman who had stood by him through all the ups and downs. Their love a quiet, unspoken bond that had sustained them for decades. But as time passed, Mavis began to show signs of dementia. Watching the woman he loved forget the life they had built together was a blow Jay never expected. Still, he stood by her, every step of the way, offering care and love with the same tenderness he had always given. There were no children to help them through the hardest days. No grown son or daughter to offer relief. But Jay remained steadfast, guiding Mavis through each day, even when she no longer recognized him fully. As Jay continues to face the toll of age, his legacy grows. Not just in the laughter he brought to the world, but in the quiet ways he continues to give. Today, Jay Leno stands as a symbol of perseverance, resilience, and love. Despite the physical toll of his career, despite the emotional weight of loss, he remains a steadfast presence in the world. His fortune is substantial, but his real legacy is the life he built with nothing but hard work, discipline, and an unwavering love for the people around him. The cars he restores, the jokes he tells, and the love he gives to Mavis and others all bear witness to the quiet courage of a man who keeps going, no matter how many times life knocks him down. Jay Leno's story isn't just one of fame. It's a story of survival. A story that shows us that even when life gives us no guarantees, we can still rise, still keep moving forward, and still offer love and laughter to a world that needs it. If there is a lesson to be learned from Jay's life, it is this: Strength is not measured by how many times you stand tall, but by how many times you rise again when everything seems determined to keep you down. And Jay Leno, through every setback, every loss, and every scar, has taught us all that the human spirit can endure, no matter how much life demands of it.